Hey everyone, it's Michael Zapersky, and today I'm here with Tony Hughes. Tony, welcome.
G'day, Michael. It's really good to be on the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. So Tony, companies like Salesforce and Oracle and Red Hat hire you for your decades of expertise in sales and sales leadership. And today I want to uncover and explore how you got to where you are. Let's really start at the beginning, because reading your book, and one of your books anyways, Combo Prospecting, there we have it. You did not have an easy start to life. It really struck a chord with me as I was reading through this. And I thought maybe if you could just start us off and just let everyone who's tuning in right now into how you got started. What were some of the challenges that you faced growing up and kind of in those early years?
Yeah, look, I won't talk about myself much. I think I'd rather focus on how what I know can maybe help people that are watching this. But yeah, certainly adversity is what creates resilience in anybody's life. And I personally believe that success in life, especially as a consultant, but in business generally, is more a factor of your ability to put up with crap and continue to soldier on, as much as it's about actually being really clever, with what you think represents good product market fit. So the reality is, for all of us, our clients have got lots of choices out there. There's many others that could do the job for them. But it's our ability to find a way to break through, to be relentlessly all about them improving their results, and put up with the disappointments and the rejection and all of the other things that go wrong in life, and just keep going, that really determines success.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So, I mean, the reason I bring this up, and I certainly appreciate that you want to spend this time focusing on adding value for everyone. The reason I bring this up is because when people hear a success story and, the typical publications, they just focus on the success aspect, right? Yeah. They don't talk about what people actually had to go through. And when I was reading through your book, I mean, you faced death in the family, you faced all kinds of just challenge. So maybe just could you,
the short version,
short version, or a couple of points, because I want people to see that. Look at what Tony's gone through, and look at where he is here today. And if he can do it, you can as well. So just kind of lay it down very quickly.
Okay. So on my 25th birthday, I'm living in America. I built a manufacturing business in Australia, and we'd sold it. I took the business to the States. I'm, young and ambitious, gung-ho. On my 25th birthday, I get a phone call from my stepdad to say that my mother back in Sydney's got liver cancer. So 7 weeks later, back in Sydney, and we nursed her at home, and she passed away. My sister tried to commit suicide. The family dog got run over. Our car got stolen. Our biggest client in America for the business that I owned went bankrupt. A joint venture manufacturing partner went bankrupt. A giant multinational who should know better and have ethics air freighted our product back to Japan and copied it. And said, you don't have patents in Japan, so if you've got an issue with it, feel free to talk to any of our 37 lawyers in LA. And I just decided that I needed to stay in Sydney for family. So I basically walked away from my business in the States. And the big thing I learned in America is that if you can't personally sell, you are nowhere in business as an entrepreneur. So we were getting royalties for 12 years after selling the business in Australia. So I had a non-compete. So I had to go do something different. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go learn how to sell. And it's a life skill that I need. I was rubbish at it in the beginning, but I quickly became good because I worked hard and had a great mentor as a sales manager that really helped me and set sales records that have never been broken, and ended up, moving up in the ranks of larger corporations. And ultimately, for the last 12 years of my corporate life, ran the Asia Pacific region as CEO for North American multinational software companies. 7 years ago, I left the corporate world and went out on my own on the back of my first book I'd published that had been a business bestseller to be a consultant. And man, that was a very big adventure. So we'll talk about what it takes to really be successful as a consultant.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think, I just want to encourage everyone, check out Tony's book here, Combo Prospecting, and we'll tell you where to get more info about that a little later on here. But I can assure you that Tony has just literally glossed over some of the challenges that he went through, and I think it's a testament to your mindset. And I guess the question I have for you is, like, during everything that you had going on, which was death and depression and I think there were some issues bordering even on murder or
Yeah.
things connected to that you didn't mention about just that would have really stopped a lot of people in their tracks, and you kept going. What really propelled you? You know, you didn't give up. You didn't just sit and become an alcoholic. Like you continue to move things forward, and here you are today. So just for those who might be facing some challenges in their lives right now, or just like as you and I speak, the stock market has had just a magnificently terrible drop today, right? People are freaking out all over the world. In times like these, what lessons have you learned that looking back were what propelled you forward, and just any advice that you could offer people today who might be in a bit of a funk, as we might say, and they're just not playing at their full potential, but they really should.
Yeah. So we live in the age of catastrophism, and where everybody wants to do a whole lot of virtue signaling, but the reality is life is cyclical, and life has seasons, and all of us will go through periods of things being incredibly tough and periods where things will be good. As we record this, the stock markets had a massive correction,
Mm-hmm.
but the market will come back. Coronavirus is temporary. If you watch the media and listen to the press, you think the world's coming to an end. The reality is, in my country where I come from, every winter, our flu season kills about 900 people. About 900 people a year die from the flu in most winters in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So far, one person has died of coronavirus, and they caught coronavirus on a cruise ship offshore. It'll all get managed. China will, manufacture and start shipping goods again. The stock market will come back. Wherever there's a problem, there's also an opportunity. The same word in Chinese for crisis also means opportunity. So in my view, just recognize that there's seasons in life, and it's all about our resilience that determines success.
Yeah, it's so true. And if someone doesn't see that if they're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, then you end up dwelling on the negativity. And I think that's where a lot of people are today, just watching news headlines or focusing on all the things that could go wrong. And even though we'd like to think that as humans, we are able to multitask, the reality is we're not able to do that very well. And so if you're spending your time focused on the negative right now, it means that your ability to focus on the positive is significantly reduced. And what I'm hearing you say, Tony, for everyone out here is, focus, or just recognize that, sure, you're going to go through some tough times and challenges, but you're going to come through the other side as long as you keep moving forward. So let's talk a bit more about business development and pipeline building, because that is your sweet spot. And for every consulting business, having an actual pipeline is without a doubt the most important part of a business. I mean, if you don't have a pipeline, if you don't have opportunities, you don't have a business. Yet I think there's many people out there, many consultants, especially at the small to mid-size, kind of firms or even independents, who aren't really willing to take the steps necessary to reach out and follow up with their ideal clients consistently. What have you seen in your own experience, Tony, that holds people back from really truly committing in an intentional way to building their pipeline of business?
The thing that holds people back is typically a mindset issue. So they fear rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, when they think about business development, they look at the phone and treat it like it's covered in spiders. And they worry about botching the conversation. They worry about being rejected. And that's all okay. Like, the thing is, you can be fearful and just do it anyway. I've done lots of things in my life that I'm a little fearful of. First time I learned to barefoot water ski. You're very fearful about face planting at horrendous speed on the water and having stacks, but you do it anyway, right? And you do have a few falls, and they're not as bad as you think. So the thing is, it's a mindset. We worry about either botching it or being rejected, and we then default to channels where we don't feel we can get rejected and where we can endlessly polish our message, like email. But the problem is, long emails don't get read by anybody. The average executive out there receives 120 emails a day.
Mm-hmm.
They're busy, and they typically are in the mode of skimming and ignoring or deleting anything that looks like selling or marketing, and anything from people that they don't know, where there's nothing in it for them to open the email. So what we need to do is we need to get back on the phone and we need to have the right conversations. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I had a best-selling book on selling, my first book, the Joshua Principle. And you'd think I'd be good at selling, right? I'd set all these records, but people would say, "Hey, Tony, you've left the corporate world, you're out doing your own thing now. What's this RSVP selling company you've started?" And not for 5 days, not for 5 weeks, but for 5 months, I had the world's worst answer to the question. I talked about what it is that I was doing. And then the penny dropped for me that no one cares about me and what I do. All they care about is themselves and their own results.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned to stop talking about what I do and instead talk about their opportunity for improving results. And if your whole ethos is that you want to make a positive difference in the lives of your customers, both personally and professionally, if that's what you're all about, then you won't be fearful in calling someone up and sending them an email and a LinkedIn message and texting them to find a way to get into their world, because you genuinely believe that you can help them. So we need to build the right conversations.
Let's look at, so someone, recognize that and go, so look, that makes sense. But for maybe someone who has got most of their business just from referrals or their network, or maybe even someone who's transitioned recently from the corporate world into consulting, they may not be 100% confident that they know what the true problems are that their ideal client is facing. They may not know yet what to talk about, or maybe they've tried some messaging, but it hasn't gotten the response that they want. They're just, sending things out or making some calls or sending some messages, but they're not getting a high level of response. What would you say to that person? What are some best practices, or what have you found can work really well for someone to identify what message they should actually, be putting in front of a prospective client?
So every consultant in the world needs to really think about a number of things. The first is we need to think about product market fit.
Mm-hmm.
So are we solving a significant problem where there's money associated to it? Because if we're not, we're going to struggle forever. So look yourself in the mirror about product market fit. What problem do you really solve and for whom?
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is clearly define your ideal customer profile. Don't live in the deluded belief that the whole world is a prospect. They're not. Just think about, what does my ideal target client look like? How big are they? Where are they located? What is it they believe? Are they in growth? Are they in crisis?
Mm-hmm.
Are they seeking to expand overseas? For everybody, it'll be different, but think, what defines my ideal customer profile? Then the third thing is, who are the buyer personas? What are those buyer role types that I need to engage with in those organizations in order for them to be a successful client? And again, it depends on what you're doing, but you may say, I need to have a relationship with the CFO, the head of treasury, the CEO, and people and culture. Or you might, in your world, say, I need to have a good relationship with the CIO,
Mm-hmm.
And the head of customer success, and the head of sales and heads of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever those people are, you need to document your buyer personas and understand how those people are measured in their roles and what their typical priorities are. Because if you don't understand those things, you've got no chance of building the right conversation.
Yeah, definitely. And so, Tony, for someone who goes, yeah, okay, I understand that makes a lot of sense, but how do I actually get that information? When you've entered a new market, or when you're working with someone that wants to increase their, their overall sales, or build their pipeline, are there sources or places that people can go to get that information?
Yeah, so the most powerful source is your existing clients. So go to your best clients,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some really powerful questions. You just go to your client and say, hey, Mary, we've been working together now for 2 years. What happened inside your organization or your world that started you down the path that led to me?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to cause you to want to look at improving things in this area?
Yeah.
And then the next question is, depending on their role, but hey, you would have had to put some kind of business case up internally to justify working with us, as consultants. What was in the business case, and is it being delivered on now? So,
Mm-hmm.
you promised the business improved results somewhere to fund what we're doing together. What was that? And is it happening? Because if it's not, I want to work closer to make sure that it is. Now, what that does is it creates enormous customer loyalty, because customers will be loyal to us if they believe we're committed to them improving results
Mm-hmm.
and that we genuinely care. They tend to leave if they feel that we're taking them for granted or not helping them drive change.
Right.
So those questions are powerful. But what they do is they inform who we should talk to. They
Mm-hmm.
tell us what the trigger events are that go on that create awareness or interest in what we offer. And it tells us what the business case is that justifies making the investment with us.
Yeah.
So customers are very powerful. The other thing you can do, which is really simple, is simply Google the role of the person in their industry and the words performance metrics. And what you'll
Mm.
find is you'll get a whole lot of things come back, right? So you might find a CFO is measured on, on DSOs, daily sales outstanding, as a metric of cash collection. But if you just Google performance metrics for a role, you'll start to get a clue. And then you build a conversation narrative that does not have arrogance. It
Mm-hmm.
has humility. You're saying, hey, Mike, based on working with other CFOs in your industry, common thing I'm seeing is, look, if that's something you're also struggling with, I've got some ideas on how I think you could. And then you talk about the opportunity for improved performance.
Yeah.
And say, hey, look, whether we did anything or not, I really think you'll get something out of the conversation. How's your calendar next week? And you'll easily get meetings, and you take the pressure off. So it's not that you want to sell and pitch. You've just got a point of view, a worthwhile point of view about how you suspect they could improve results in their role. You're happy to share what you're seeing others do. You never betray the trade secrets of one company to another. You'd never do
Sure.
that with Coca-Cola to Pepsi. You'd never call Pepsi up and say, hey, I work with Coca-Cola. Let me come and share with you what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's unethical, but you can talk in more broader terms, but that'll get you meetings and it takes the pressure off.
So in a moment, I want to talk about and kind of break down what your process looks like for dealing with the complex sale, because as consultants, right, most of us are selling into established organizations, whether large or small, but it's a complex sale or has many moving parts. But before we kind of break that down, what should someone expect? For every 100 people that they reach out to, what kind of response rate have you seen that is standard or should be expected when this is done fairly well? Maybe they're not a Tony, they're not doing it at the highest level, but they're working towards it. If they have the right elements in place, what does that look like for them?
So there's a lot of things that make this depend or create variables. The first thing to be aware of is that at any given point in time, only 3% of the market is going to be in the buying window for what it is that you sell or offer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just phoned 100 people and miraculously they all answered, three of them would be in the window of looking at buying something. The problem when that's the case is they're typically already talking to your competition
Mm-hmm.
and have got a predetermined favorite in mind. So it sounds like, hey, that 3% is good if I'm in there. Well, no, not really. Your competition is normally already working with them.
Yeah.
So we've got to find a way to break in. If you've got clarity about ideal customer profile and buyer personas, and then you monitor for trigger events, things that happen in the marketplace that create awareness. So for example, you might do consulting around helping organizations scale more effectively. So anybody who does a merger or acquisition or announces an overseas office or announces the launch of a new product or service,
Mm-hmm.
they are trigger events. So if you called up and said, hey, Mary, congratulations on the expansion into Asia. I was wanting to get together with you for 20 minutes. I've got some ideas on how I think you could de-risk market entry and really accelerate your revenue growth, right? So, you'll build your narrative on whatever it is that you do.
Yeah.
But if you leverage a trigger event for strong context, and then you've got an insightful narrative where there's some value in the conversation
Mm-hmm.
before they'd ever look at buying your services, then you'll normally always get your meeting.
So let's now break down, because part of your process, which I think many people, well, I want to get your kind of take on this as well, but the phone is a scary thing for many people, right? It's probably the one thing that people hesitate the most around. Yet you suggest in one of your books anyways, that should almost always be a starting point or one of the first things that you do. So maybe just break down for us, Tony, what does a typical process look like in terms of an outreach campaign to work towards setting up appointments and meetings? Just walk us through step by step from a high level. What does that look like?
Yeah, so to go deeper, people should just buy the book Combo Prospecting. I explain it all there. But The whole idea is we're seeking to pattern interrupt the way that people are wired to ignore all sales and marketing content or people they don't know.
Right.
And we need to get back on the phone. There's been a lot of lies pushed out in the market in the last 3 years about social selling. You know, hey, no one answers the phone anymore. It's all about social. The truth is social and digital channels are clogged. There's just this white wall of noise that people are facing every day when they go to work, and they look at all of these digital channels. So to break through, we've got to pattern interrupt the ignoring, and we need to do what our competition is not. So just phone people and have a human conversation. And it's very easy to source people's direct cell phone numbers now today, right? So, and direct email addresses. So you phone, you leave a voicemail, you send an email, and you do all of that within 90 seconds. You don't send an email on a Wednesday and then phone on a Thursday, because there's a big gap between it, and it's just one thing that you've done in the mind of the person, and they ignore single things. So what you want is, if this person is on the subway, you know, in New York or something, or, you know, they're in London on the tube, you know, they'll have their phone out, as everybody does, looking at it, skimming through their inbox, deleting emails to get down to a manageable amount when they get into the office. But they'll be looking at their phone, and it'll ring, and they'll go, well, this person's not in my phone book. I don't know who they are. I'm not taking that. And I'm certainly not talking on the tube or the subway or the train or
Right.
So, you know, in this crowded area. So they just let the call ring out, or they dump it. Then they go back to looking at their email, and their phone goes ding. They go, oh, they left a voicemail. So then they'll listen to the voicemail. And in your voicemail, you don't give your whole value narrative. You just say, hey, Mike, it's Tony from XYZ Consulting, looking to get into your calendar for 20 minutes next week. I've sent you an email, right? So you don't give them a sales pitch. They go, oh, I wonder what that's about. They then go back to their phone, skimming their email, and their phone goes ding, and your email turns up in their inbox. 95% of the time, they will open the email. If you hadn't phoned and left a voicemail and then instantly sent the email, they would not have opened the email. And you do this at the time of day when you know you're likely to get the most engagement.
And when is that typically?
It's the shoulders of the day. So in most Western societies, from 20 to 8 in the morning up until 10 to 9 in the morning is the golden, it's more than an hour, but that golden hour of the day is before the rest of the company is turned up. All senior people, I know I'm making big grand statements here, but senior people start early. It's the only chance they get to do their real work before people are standing at their door endlessly and they're dragged away into meetings.
Yeah.
So first thing in the day, and the other thing is the shoulder of the day at the other end. You know, so most senior people stop booking meetings at about 4:30 in the afternoon because they want to clean up their day and prep for the next one and get home to their families to have dinner typically. So from 4:30 till about 10 to 6 in the evening is a great window to call, but the best window is first thing in the day from 20 to 8 until about 10 to 9. So if you time block those periods for doing outbound, and you phone, you leave a voicemail, and you send an email, and then if you want to up your game, you add a text message, you add an in-mail, you do video messaging, you know, depending
pretty much
on the context.
All the different channels that you can use to get in front of your ideal client. So let's take the example of a consultant that maybe it's just them, or maybe they have a couple of people working, but everyone on the team right now is spending most of their time delivering on client projects. Yet they've now woken up and recognized that they don't have a strong pipeline. The referrals that they used to receive are drying up. And so they've made now the conscious decision to work on their marketing to try and build the pipeline. How should they spend that limited amount of time that they have, which in their mind is not very much right now, on doing this? Because if we're talking about reaching out to hundreds of people, leaving these messages within 90 seconds, that sounds like there's a lot of moving parts or some complexity. So simplify it for us. I mean, what is the best way for someone who doesn't have a big sales team, who maybe is the owner of the firm, and maybe they're even the sole operator in the firm? How should they go about thinking to apply this kind of methodology and this approach to get the most out of it if they have limited amount of time?
The first thing is choose your customers. So think about what your dream customer looks like. previously about ideal customer profile, ICP.
Yeah.
Based on knowing your ICP, you go and pick the organizations you would love to have as clients. You then get into LinkedIn. You should subscribe to a LinkedIn tool called Sales Navigator.
Sure.
Sales Navigator will give you amazing intel about an organization and roles and who knows who and common connections, and surfaces lots of information about the organization. But then create a list, right? Create a list of all of the people that you think matter inside that organization.
Mm-hmm.
Put it into your own CRM system. If you've just got a spreadsheet, fine, then use a spreadsheet as your CRM. But, every business needs a CRM system.
Mm-hmm.
So put all those people in your CRM, get their contact details, start to take some notes, do some pragmatic research, and then think about why a conversation would matter in their eyes. So build a narrative where they are the hero of the story, not us. So don't tell them about what sort of consulting you do. Talk about their opportunity to improve results in a particular area.
Mm-hmm.
And be happy to share some insights, like give away some of your IP, provide some insights on how you think they can do it. Just think, I'm going to provide some value for them, whether they become a client or not. I'm going to make them the hero. I'm going to have a point of view about how they can improve their results. And if that's your message, you won't cringe. You won't feel that you're being a sales pest.
Mm-hmm.
You'll feel you're providing some free consulting for them. And then what you do is you time block. So the good news is, if you're busy delivering, that'll be typically in business hours. But what you can do is you can just book 40 minutes every morning of your work life to do outbound. And at the end of each day, you make sure you've got your list of who you're going to call in the morning done. And then you work on little pragmatic templates. Again, you don't need a whole lot of expensive tech to be able to do this. You can just create a Google Doc or a Word doc and have little templates of LinkedIn connection requests where you're not trying to connect and sell. Email templates,
Yep.
hi, blank, just you put in their name. I noticed.
So Tony, just to jump in. So just to clarify, in your experiences, 40 minutes each day, Monday to Friday, is that sufficient time for someone to start, creating some results and booking meetings and appointments and conversations?
Yes, it is, but everybody needs to reverse engineer their own metrics. So everyone watching this is a consultant. So you should be analytical. You need to reverse engineer your metrics. So you think, well, I've got a revenue target that I want to hit this year.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how I'm tracking.
Yeah.
I'm this far behind, plus I've got all this revenue to get. And then you just start thinking, okay, so for every proposal I put in, for every 3 proposals, I'll make these numbers up, but for every 3 proposals I put in, I get 1 client.
Mm-hmm.
So if I need 7 clients between now and December, I need to get 21 proposals in.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to do a proposal, I need to have met, with this role type in an organization and had at least 3 meetings. So how many of those meetings do I need to do to be able to get to do 21 proposals? And then how many outbound sequences, these combos, phone, voicemail, email, text, how many of those do I need to do to be able to get in front of people?
Right.
And you just work your numbers back.
Yes.
And then you go, well, I can do a combo in 90 seconds, but then I need to breathe between. You should go, you know what, I can do, a dozen combos in 20 minutes or a dozen combos in half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to do 12 outbound sequences, 12 combos every day for 5 days, that's 60 a week. Well, you've got to answer your own question. Is 60 of those going to give me my meetings and my proposals to get me my clients?
Yeah, I think that's such an important exercise for people. We have a very similar approach called the magic number that we take coaching clients through as soon as they come into the program. Because you're right, it starts to answer some questions and give you clarity. Like, here's my goals. Am I actually doing what is required, or am I going to be way over, way under? It just sets a bit of a firm ground or a realistic, I guess, viewpoint on, are your actions and your mindset equal to where you want to be? And then you can adjust before you even get started. So I think that's a really, really good point. So Tony, you are obviously a very big proponent of prospecting, right? It's what you've written books about. It's what you spend your time in. You developed your expertise. But you have also spent a lot of time writing articles, right? You have on LinkedIn and your blogs, it's something that you've done. You've developed content in terms of books. It's a big question that a lot of consultants have. Should I just spend time developing content, or should I spend time doing business development and doing direct outreach to clients? What's your perspective on this? For someone who is, running a business and things are going well, but they're nowhere near as good as they believe they can be. How would you guide them? How would you suggest they spend their time? Should they be focusing more on content, or should they be, focusing more on prospecting?
The big thing people need to focus on is build a strong personal brand, and creating content is part of that. 75%, 3/4 of the people that you run outreach to, if they are thinking about responding, 3/4 of those people will come and have a look at your LinkedIn profile. So sort your LinkedIn profile out. Michael, I'm happy to send you a link to an article I published about creating a really good LinkedIn profile. And it includes a whole lot of tips on how to create content as well. Now, writing content is time consuming. I've published 500 articles. I've got 500,000 followers in social media, 350,000 in LinkedIn. And I've become the most read person in the world in LinkedIn on the topic of B2B selling. But I've got to tell you, it was an insane amount of work to do that. So it's not a case of publishing tons and tons of content. It's a case of when they come and look at your LinkedIn profile or they look at your website, do they see insights? And in this article that you can share with people that I'll send through to you for everybody, it talks about the types of articles or blogs that you can write. And they're things that really start to set the agenda on value. They preemptively head objections that you would commonly get off at the pass. So it'll really help you decide, which content, you're writing. But yeah, it's both, but it's really around brand.
So to maybe summarize what I'm hearing from you, it's use content not necessarily just to generate leads directly, but more to support the outreach and prospecting and sales activities that you're doing otherwise. So they're both important, but when you're doing content, you're not only thinking about it generating direct leads, it's there to support your brand and to support the outbound or the outreach that you're doing. Is that accurate?
Yes, and it's very easy for a consultant to waste massive amounts of time trying to become a marketer.
Right.
When the truth is, know your ICP, create a list of dream potential clients, get something like Sales Navigator and phone them up and use Combo to break through. You'll find that's far more effective than you trying to become a marketing person.
Right.
Because building a marketing machine that has outbound that creates inbound is actually quite a difficult thing to do. Like it's great if you can afford to go do that, but it's like a full-time role in a business to go and make all that happen properly. But what any consultant can do is say, do you know what? I'm going to dedicate 40 minutes a day, first thing in the morning before I'm on site with my clients doing consulting, 40 minutes a day to create good quality sales pipeline based on knowing the buyer personas within the organizations I would like as a dream client. And I'm just going to create a point of view that provides some value in the conversation for the person and just be human. That's how you go create awesome sales pipeline today.
Good stuff. Well, Tony, I want to thank you so much for coming on here today and sharing some of your best practices with us. There's a lot more that people can learn from you, and we'll make sure to link in the show notes that article or kind of guide that you referred to, as well as your books and your website. But just for everyone who's listening right now and wants to go and check that out right away, where's the best place for them to go to learn more about you?
Yeah, so connect with me in LinkedIn. So just search for Tony Hughes in LinkedIn. You can find me on salesiqglobal.com, salesiqglobal.com, and tonyhughes.com.au.
Perfect. All right, Tony. Again, thanks so much.
Thanks, Michael.